audience. I mean.
Hey, Drew.
All right, let's try this again. So, it's some buffet food waste. We've all been to buffets, and probably more than once a month. So, there are some staggering statistics out there that the amount of food that is wasted every day from buffet food restaurants or restaurants in general. There is we have Golden Corral here in Fayetteville. We have what is that? Fuller's. I don't know. Who's not Western one. Sugar King. There's plenty of buffets in Fayetteville that we have, so we can just gather just about how much waste goes on with just those establishments themselves locally about what food gets wasted. Again, I'll touch on it further, but there are recovery options out there. And some standards that the USDA sets out is that 2 hours rule. You can't have the food out on the buffet longer than 2 hours. The employees are not allowed to eat food if it's been longer than 2 hours that it's out there due to health concerns. And that then strikes with a liability issue as well down the road, which I'll touch on also later on, which can be overcome. Some good little pointers. You have to keep the hot food over 140 degrees. You kind of keep the cold food under 40 degrees. You do that with the inserts and the heat coming up to the trays. The restaurants, they have to check it every so often, like every 10 or 15 minutes. They have to check the food to make sure that's consistent degrees of 140 degrees. Well, some of the food recovery programs that are out there, one in Las Vegas, like I said earlier, but the MGM Resort has contracted out that this man, Bob, who owns this RC farm out in Las Vegas, that he take all of the edible waste that's not edible no more in I guess the regulation side of it all and take them to all his pigs. And again, as I said earlier, with the pigs, the man who filmed the video tasted the pigs. He said it was a better taste than he had ever tasted before, the texture, the sweetness, and so on and so forth. It was just because the man was feeding them all organic things that were coming off these buffets instead of feeding feed. Some other items that can be, some things that can be done with food recovery options, like dry goods. You have coffee, sugar, the things that don't go bad quickly. Those can be donated to the local food banks, to the Salvation Armies, homeless shelters, however, and they can put that to good use too. But there are certain guidelines that they have to follow. If it's expired for longer than a month or so on and so forth, then they can't accept it. But if it's within a good time frame, then they can take it as well. And sometimes, even as I did some research, some of these places that are able to do food recovery don't do it because sometimes, for example, there was a bakery, and this bakery only had, let's say, 12 loaves of bread left over at the end of the day. But the food bank didn't go get it because it was just 12 loaves of bread. I mean, these beggars can't be choosers, so go get them a loaf of bread, put them in there. So there's some option with the food recovery. And again, I touched on the liability issues earlier. Back before this act was enacted in 1996, owners would always have issues with restaurants and with food recovery programs because there was the liability of transportation, keeping the food warm, and there was numerous liabilities that were out there that owners of these restaurants were not taking advantage of, were not being able to take advantage of donating food. So they enacted the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Act in 1996, and it virtually eliminates all liabilities that owners face when it comes to donating food. Again, that was just another slide with the Bill Emerson Act. And to summarize it all, the EPA estimates that 96 billion tons of food goes to waste each year just from restaurants itself. That's a lot. That's a lot of food, and there's a lot of things that can be done to channel that food into different avenues so that there's $1 billion in $1 billion cost of to dispose all the food waste that goes on every year. So you have billions of dollars that are thrown away every year just on food waste, and that's about it. I believe that, in my opinion, the restaurant owners should look locally to see what kind of food recovery options there are. So, any questions?
No, you can't get that. Oh, so the food, where are they dumping the food at? Oh, yeah. Where are they dumping the food at?
Well, most of it goes to landfill.
The things they're using to eat the leftover food, are they viable for, are they edible for like,
Yeah.
the market?
Mm-hmm.
Where would you buy that?
You'd have to look into what local company does, organic, food recovery and feed it to pigs. You can look, just pull up Andrew Zimmerman Goes to Las Vegas. It's from the Travel Channel, and it has a link to that pig farm. And it's pretty interesting how they do it. They keep a big, huge truck at these resorts, and they just shovel. I mean, anything from crab legs to whatever, to just name it, and it just goes into this big container, and then they ship it out to this farm. If you ever smell the dog food plant out here, I'm sure that doesn't smell that much different out there.
What about so how can you become part of the recovery?
There's different websites online. I had some on my sources or whatever, but you can look online at food recovery options and programs, and they'll point you in the right direction where to go to make phone calls.
So me and Jeremy could come and be food recovery people.
Right, you can actually you could go to Golden Corral and say, hey, look, you pay me $12 a day to take away your food, and then you won't have no more waste. But then and they might jump on it. Never know.
Have you gone buffet like different restaurants?
Not locally, I haven't. I just did a bunch of research on it.
Good job.
You good?
Don't eat it.
That's what I'm saying. You said don't what?
Don't eat it.
They gave Jeremy a minute.
They got 4.
She knows